Hi everyone, my name is Hyro with BusyBusy Customer Support. Today we're going to go over our Supervisor Tools. So this is a tool for supervisors or foremen that are out in the field managing time for their crew. So we're going to go to your main menu and we're going to select Supervisor Tools. Now if this is your first time using this tool, it's going to ask you to select your crew members. So we're going to hit select crew members. We're going to go down the list here. And I'm going to select a few people. Select Dustin, Gordon, and Jason. So once you select your crew, we're going to select save. Okay. So now the default screen here shows a list of your crew, and it currently shows who's on the clock and who's off the clock. The red clock out, are the ones who are currently on the clock, and these are quick actions for you to take. If you want to stop their time, you just simply hit clock out for any of these individuals. You also see, the time by the second underneath their names. So he's been clocked in for an hour and 5 minutes and 20 seconds and counting. Now, with any of these, you'll notice at the bottom you have different pages, different tabs for Supervisor Tools. You have your timers, excuse me, your entries, your live totals. I'm going to select yes. It's asking me if I want to receive notifications when employees submit issues. I'm going to hit yes. And then the last tab is your pay period. Now, with any of these tabs, you'll always have the three dot icon on the top right to manage your crew. Okay, so from any of these you can jump into a different tab and you can still manage your crew. That being said, employees can be in more than one crew at a time using Supervisor Tools. So with your list of your crew, it's only saved to your device, so it doesn't save as a company setting. So the office will not be able to see your list of your crew that you have selected on your device. So we did it this way just so employees can be in more than one crew leader at a time. So if he's working on different job sites, with a different foreman or supervisor, that supervisor or foreman can have that same employee under his crew. So it just makes it easier, if you're managing employees from that perspective. Okay, so with going through, we're going to go through each tab. So with timers, I already stated you can clock out employees or clock them in. You can also click on the employee, and it takes you to the employee profile section. So you can still view their hours report, cost report. You can view their schedule, photos and notes, time off. So we're going to go back. And then if you click on the three dot icon at the far right of each employee, you can take other actions for this employee. So you can switch their time to a new cost code or project. You can have them go on break or use a clock out at and the switch out at tools as well. Okay, so that's pretty much with the timers tab. So if we hop over to the entries tab, with this tab you can do a lot more things too for managing employees' times. So it gives you the list of entries for all your employees for today. If you look at the top, it shows today. You can go back to yesterday by using the left arrow, or go back more days. So you can currently view just one day at a time by using the left and right arrows, and it's going to show you 3 employees, how many hours those employees work for that day. So I'll go back to yesterday, okay, and just to look at 2 employees with 15 hours and 15 minutes logged. Okay, so it shows you on each entry, it shows you the time, the start stop time, the total hours on the right. It shows 8 hours for this employee. So he was on drive time, no cost code, no equipment. Now what I can do here is, if I know that this employee, I'm not sure whose his name is, Alexander Franklin, if I know he was with another employee, if they were together that same day, and the other employee is missing. So instead of creating a new time entry for the other employee, I can quickly add them to this existing time entry. So I do that by clicking on this row here where it shows the employees' profile pictures. If they don't have a profile picture, it'll show their abbreviated names. So it should show, I don't have anybody here. So if my name's Jairo Carrillo, if I didn't have a profile image, it'll just show a circle with JC on there. Okay, so it's important to have those profile images so you can quickly, see, which employees are on, so you can differentiate your employees. So I'm going to add a new employee, another employee to this existing entry. So I'm going to select this row, and then I can quickly add, if I know Charles was with Alexander that day, if they, carpooled together, and he should have been on this drive time. I can quickly just select his name or any of them, and or if I know, you can also remove employees too. So if I want to remove Alexander Franklin from this existing time entry, I could remove them too. Okay, so I'm going to select Charles Hart. I'm going to keep Alexander, and I'm going to hit save. So just like that, I now added Charles Hart to this existing time entry. So I didn't have to go in and create a manual time entry. I didn't have to create a start, stop time, enter the project. I just quickly added him to this existing time entry. Now you can do this with any of these existing time entries. Okay, so now I can do it for today, any day. So I'm going to go back to yesterday. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what you can do too with an existing time entry. You can actually copy this exact entry to the next day. So I'm going to hit the three dot icon on the bottom right of the entry, right there. And then I'm going to select copy to next day. And just like that, if I go to today, there it is. 7 to 3, drive time, Alexander and Charles are, that's the entry I just copied. Okay, and you can continue doing that too. Copy it to the next, and you could do this to any time entry. So if you know for a fact, for whatever reason, we have different companies that have different workflows. We have some companies that the supervisors add the time entries for the employees. So if you're one of those companies, that the supervisor, knows that you guys were at that same job site for the whole week, you can quickly add those entries this way. Okay. Now another thing you might have noticed is a split. So what the split does is, let's say if we're looking at this first time entry here from 7 to 3, if I know that Alexander and Charles didn't do drive time for the whole 8 hours from 7 to 3, I know if it took them 4 hours to get to the job site and they work 4 hours, to the actual job, I can split those entries. And I'll show you what it does here. So 7 to 3, that's 8 hours. So if I hit the three dot icon and I hit split, now it automatically selects the time, it cuts it in half pretty much. So at 11 a.m. that'll be 4 hours on the first entry, and on the second entry it's going to be the other 4 hours. So it actually automatically divides it in half. Now you can change it you can change it by clicking the time, and you want to say, okay, I know the time started at 7, so at 10 a.m. they drove. Okay, so 3 hours on the first entry. Give me 1 second. It looks like my screen froze a little bit. I'm going to see if it can catch up. Okay, I'm going to redo it here. So I'm going to select 10 a.m. I'm going to hit OK. So now the first entry now has 3 hours. From 7 to 10, that's 3 hours. And it puts the remaining hours on the second entry. Okay. I'm going to switch it back to 11. So now it's half and half. 4 hours on one entry, 4 hours on the second entry. Or if you can do it you could do it by clicking on entry 1 or entry 2. If you know the entry 2, you know, if the second entry, if he was at the project for, let's say, 6 hours, and hit OK. So now the second entry is 6 hours, and the remaining time, the 2 hours left, is on the first entry. So I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to hit save. Okay, and now you see those two entries split. So now keep in mind that it's going to have the same details. It's going to have dry time from 7 to 9. That's 2 hours for these employees. And then the second entry on the bottom, it shows 9 to 3, 6 hours. So this now I would come here and I would edit the second entry, and I'm going to change the project. So if he was at Johnson's Driveway, labor, I'm going to skip cost codes. Okay, now it's giving me this message here: the time entry must not contain another time entry. It's pretty much overlapping an existing time entry. So I'm not, if it lets me override it, but it was giving me that warning that, hey, these entries that I'm creating overlaps an existing time entry. So there you go. So now I've finished updating the second entry by changing the project to the actual job that they were at. Okay, so that was the split feature. I can edit the current time entry I selected here, edit, or I could just quickly hit the pencil icon here to edit the existing time entry. I could even add a break entry, pretty much, or you delete it too. You can hit delete to delete that time entry. Okay, and then it also lets you delete it from here too. Okay, so that's the entries tab. If I move over to the next tab, is the live totals. It's currently showing the list of your employees for today who are on the clock. Shows four employees at the top with 17 hours logged for all of them at the moment. And you can switch to view projects as well, cost codes, and any equipment. So this is viewing the current projects employees are logging time to. Cost codes as well. I'm going to go back to the employee list. I'm going to select Alexander, and it shows me all his entries for today. So you see that I'll go ahead and cover this quickly. The little triangle with the exclamation mark, the yellow triangle there, that's telling me that there is a conflict with these two entries. They're pretty much overlap. So if you look at the stop time 12 to 12:01 p.m. and the one on the bottom is 9 to 3, so it's just overlapping, so that it's letting you know, hey, there's something wrong here. You need to make adjustments to fix this overlapping time. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and you can actually click the plus icon to add a new entry. You select the employee, select a project, skip cost code, and I'll leave those start and end time for this employee, and I'm going to hit save. So I just quickly added another employee to this day. Okay. So now jumping over to the next tab is a sign-off tab. Now this is a great tool if some employees don't have access to their app, if they forget it at their house, or they have we have those old school timers that still have flip phones, and their time get managed by the supervisor or the crew leader. So they can actually have the supervisor can have this employee sign off on their device. So the way that will work is, let's say Alexander, if he doesn't have the app for some reason, you can have the supervisor click on his name, complete the daily sign off. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you. Okay, sign off. Okay, complete daily sign off. So I'm going to hit complete daily sign off, and this employee would go through these questions and answer if he was injured, at the job site for this current time entry. So I'm going to hit no. Did you follow California break policy? We're going to hit yes. He doesn't have a break here, so I'll just hit no. And anytime there's an issue with any of these questions, they'll be able to type in the reason. So I'm going to hit forgot. And they can actually add a break from here too. There's that blue add break link, and they can quickly add a break. But I'm not going to add a break. And then is your time correct? No. Forgot to take break. Okay. And then I'm going to hit save. Since this employee is signing off on another user's device, in this case a supervisor, it'll ask them to sign off on it electronically. So I'm just going to quickly sign off. I think it's looking weird from the recording. Here, let me see if I can expand it. No. So basically, it just tilts the phone sideways so you can sign off, and there's an accept button at the top right. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if I'll be able to edit that. Okay, so the employee signed off on it, and you can actually view the entry from here too. Okay. Hit back. So now there's a sign off icon there. So now at the top it shows 2 not signed, 2 people haven't signed. There's time issues with 1. Now if we go to the next tab, the pay period tab, you can quickly, if I'm going to go back to the previous pay period. So there's a little blue message there saying previous pay period missing signatures, because we're currently viewing the current pay period. Whenever a pay period is ready to be signed, the pay period has to end in order for those time cards will be ready to be signed. So I'm going to go back 1 pay period. So this is actually a closed pay period. It ended on the 5th of December. So now it lists your team members. Supervisor column is a supervisor signature. Employee column is employee column. And you can see Dustin signed his time card, but not the supervisor. So you can quickly see how many hours each employee has. And again, if Alexander doesn't have a phone, a smartphone, he can actually, I could pull up this tool, go to pay periods on my phone if I'm the supervisor, and I can have him go, I can open up his time cards. If everything looks good, if there aren't any time conflicts, there's 2 fields. There's employee signature and there's a supervisor. So since I'm having him sign on my phone, I would press here under the employee signature, and he will sign off, hit accept, and it records his signature on my phone. And then I'll go ahead and sign off as well. Accept. There's both signatures there. So now it shows both the supervisor and employee signed off on this employee's time card. So now I can go down the list and be like, hey, Brigham, you haven't signed your time card. Gordon, Jason, you guys need to sign your time card. They'll automatically, if they have the app downloaded on their phone and they're logged into their account, as soon as the pay period ends, when they log into the app, they will automatically get a message saying your time card is ready to be signed. Would you like to sign? And if they click yes, it'll open up that pay period tab, and they'll see their time cards and they'll be able to sign off on it. Just so you're aware, whenever we're dealing with signatures, signing off on time cards, that's the only time the app needs to be in service, needs to have connectivity. As you're aware, our app works in offline mode. Employees can clock in It'll still save their GPS location. It'll store all the data that they're making in the app to the device. And once they get back in service, it'll sync that information over to the server, so the office personnel will see all those changes. But, whenever they're signing off, they need to have service. Otherwise, they won't be able to sign off on their time card. Okay. So that's pretty much the features here. I mean, you can also... Oh, yeah, we went over this. Please re-sign below. If there are changes made, they'll need to re-sign their time card. That's pretty much the tools that Supervisor Tools offers. If you have any further questions on any of these features we've gone over, simply reach out to us, to our customer support team, and we'd be happy to help you. Employees, we encourage them to reach out to us as well if they're having any issues with the app, or they're trying to accomplish something and they need help. We always recommend them to reach out to us directly. They can reach us within their apps by going to their main menu, clicking on support, and then chat. And then once this loads, there'll be like a start a new conversation, and they'll be able to send us a message directly, and we'd be able to help them out. It's taking a second to load there. Okay, guys, well, thank you so much, and let us know if you have further questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.